BauVolution, where construction meets innovation.
BauVolution. Let's build the future together.
Welcome to the deep dive. So you sent us something really interesting this time, an article from BauVolution called Future Skills in BauVolution.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought we'd unpack that today, try and pull out the really essential stuff about the skills that are becoming, well, vital in the construction world, given how fast it's changing.
Exactly. Think of this as like your shortcut to understanding what these future skills are actually all about, especially for construction.
Yeah.
Our goal here is really just to clarify why they're so crucial now and, what it means for people in the industry. And the source, as you said, it's a blog post from BauVolution.
Okay, great. So let's dive right in. The article kicks off by defining future skills. It basically says they're the abilities you need to thrive in a work environment that's, well, constantly shifting, super tech-driven, and really networked.
And it stresses they're not just for, keeping your head above water. They're key for tackling the big challenges, for actual growth, both professionally and, well, personally too.
Yeah, and it touches on something interesting right away, this idea that, well, haven't we always needed to adapt and learn new things?
Right. That's a fair question. The article acknowledges that, yeah, the concept isn't brand new, but the importance of certain skills is just dialed way, way up now, with digitalization, globalization.
So it's more about emphasis than completely new invention.
Pretty much. It's about recognizing which skills have become absolutely critical in this specific environment.
Okay. And to give some background, it links this back to the 21st century skills movement. That was back in the early 2000s, right? That big push in education.
Absolutely. That was when people really started saying, hey, the future is going to be different. We need to prepare folks differently. The article specifically pulls out the 4Ks. Remember those?
Vaguely. Remind me.
Creativity, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration.
Right. The 4Ks.
And it mentions Andreas Schleicher making that point about literacy in the 21st century. It's not just reading, but being able to learn through reading, understand, interpret, create, share knowledge.
That still sounds pretty fundamental, honestly, those 4Ks.
They absolutely are. But the article points out the list has, grown since then. There's a table in there, table 1, that shows this. Like under critical thinking, you've got analysis, problem solving, decision making.
Okay.
And for creativity, it lists innovation, design thinking, then technological competence that covers using digital tools effectively, which is obviously huge now.
So that initial 21st century skills discussion, it kind of set the stage for how we talk about future skills now.
Exactly. That's the key takeaway. It was that first big recognition that maybe the old skill set wasn't going to cut it anymore for the world that was emerging.
Right, which leads into why these future skills are becoming so much more critical. And, no surprise, technology is a massive piece of this puzzle. AI, big data, automation.
All leading to more digital ways of working. And importantly, this isn't just like a tech sector thing. It's hitting industries like construction hard.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's that quote in there, Alvin Toffler, about the illiterate of the 21st century.
Oh, yeah, that's a powerful one. He said it's not those who can't read and write, but those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Learn, unlearn, and relearn. That really nails it, doesn't it? That need for constant adaptation.
It really does. It highlights that it's not just about learning one specific skill, like coding, but cultivating that flexible mindset.
So future skills isn't just a synonym for tech skills then?
Not at all. The article is clear on this. It's a much wider range.
Yeah.
Yes, technical abilities are part of it, definitely. But so are cognitive skills, how you think, how you learn, social competencies interacting with others, and creative abilities too.
Okay, so it's a whole blend.
Exactly. All crucial for navigating this rapid change we're seeing everywhere.
Got it. And the article then breaks these down a bit more technical, cognitive, social competencies. And it keeps coming back to those 4Ks as foundational.
It does. And it brings in Klaus Schwab, from the World Economic Forum. He emphasizes digital competence, problem solving, and collaboration becoming even more vital as automation takes over more routine tasks.
Which connects directly to construction, right? With things like BIM.
Precisely. BIM, building information modeling, that digital twin of a building, plus 3D printing, robotics on site. These are transforming the industry.
So even if construction looks traditional on the surface, the underlying skills needed are changing fast.
Hugely. But what's also interesting, the article mentions work by Brynjolfsson and McAfee from over 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. What did they highlight?
They were already pointing to creative problem-solving, adaptability, and emotional intelligence as being key differentiators in a digital future.
Huh. So even a decade ago, the human element was seen as critical alongside the tech.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that some core human abilities remain incredibly valuable, maybe even more valuable as tech advances.
And the article makes a really important point here. This list of future skills isn't static. It's not like, here are the 10 skills, learn them, you're done.
No way. It's constantly evolving. As tech changes, as society shifts, the skills that are most needed also shift.
Which I guess brings us to the comparison it makes between future skills and those earlier 21st century skills. There's another table, table 2.
Yeah, table 2. It does a good job showing future skills aren't a total replacement, but more like an evolution. They build on that earlier foundation.
Okay, so how do they evolve? What's the difference?
Well, the article argues future skills have a much sharper focus on the specific challenges we face now. Things like digitalization being everywhere, the climate crisis demanding sustainable solutions, global disruptions, like pandemics or supply chain issues.
Right, those feel very current.
And you see this reflected in the specifics. So technology focus shifts from just basic digital literacy, which was key for 21st century skills, to needing deeper understanding of AI, big data, digital ethics, things like that.
Okay, and socially.
The focus broadens from just a general global perspective to really emphasizing sustainability, resilience, that ability to bounce back from shocks.
And in the workplace itself.
It moves beyond just general collaboration to things like working effectively across different disciplines, interdisciplinary work, and using agile methods like Scrum for project management.
Gotcha. So 21st century skills were the groundwork, but future skills are tailored much more tightly to today's and tomorrow's demands: tech, social, environmental.
Exactly. And for someone listening who's in construction or thinking about it, this evolution has really significant implications.
Okay, let's get right into that then.
Mm-hmm.
Why are these skills so specifically relevant to construction?
The article admits, it's often seen as traditional, very hands-on.
But it also highlights just how much change is happening now. New tech, digitalization pushing through, new business models emerging.
Right.
There's even a mention of research suggesting a shift from purely executive work, just doing the task, to more dispositive work, which involves more planning, coordinating, decision-making, even further down the chain.
Interesting. So the nature of the jobs themselves is changing. It seems so. But the article really zeroes in on two massive trends driving the need for future skills in construction. First, the whole push for sustainable building and the circular economy.
Okay, trend number 1, sustainability. What skills does that demand?
Well, it's pushing beyond just knowing building codes. It's about understanding co-Euros balances, material cycles, how things can be reused or recycled, doing proper life cycle analyses for projects.
So a much bigger picture view.
Definitely. It requires systems thinking, understanding environmental ethics, navigating complex regulations. It's a whole new layer of knowledge.
Okay, that makes sense. And the second big trend, no prizes for guessing.
Digitalization, of course. It's changing everything from planning and design with BIM to how sites are surveyed using drones, how work is managed using augmented reality on site, even automated machinery doing physical work.
Wow, so that demands a lot of digital comfort, I guess.
Absolutely. Skills in managing data effectively, communicating digitally across platforms, just being able to pick up and use these new tools.
It really sounds like if you're ignoring these skills, you're running a serious risk of getting left behind in construction.
That's the clear message, yeah. Mastering these isn't just about being modern, it's fundamental to tackling sustainability and digitalization effectively.
Now, the article gets quite specific, which is helpful. It breaks down examples into technological skills, digital basic skills, and then these classic skills.
Right, and it makes a good point. Not everyone needs to be a master coder and an expert in circular economy principles. It's about acquiring the skills relevant to your specific role.
Okay, let's touch on some examples. Technological skills, table 3. What stands out?
Complex data analysis is a big one. Think using AI maybe to predict project delays based on past data, or using IoT sensors on site to monitor conditions, temperature, humidity, whatever in real time.
That's a world away from traditional site management.
Totally. Another one is smart hardware and robotics development, actually designing or implementing things like masonry robots or GPS-guided excavators. And UX design, user experience. Maybe not obvious for construction, but crucial for making complex CAD software or VR walkthroughs actually intuitive and usable for people.
Yeah, if the tech is too clunky, adoption stalls. Makes sense.
Exactly. And one I found really interesting was tech translation.
Tech translation, what's that?
Basically, the ability to bridge the gap between the tech experts and everyone else, explaining how AI works in a specific construction application, for instance, to site managers or clients who aren't tech specialists. That communication is key.
Absolutely. Okay, moving to the digital basic skills in Table 4. What are the highlights there?
Well, digital literacy is the baseline, just being comfortable with standard software, understanding data privacy basics, maybe even interacting with simple AI tools. Then digital interaction, basically, good online communication etiquette, especially on shared platforms like BIM collaboration tools. Professionalism online.
Something we could probably all brush up on.
Maybe. Collaboration is huge, too, especially working across different teams, maybe different cultures on big international BIM projects.
Right.
Agile working also gets a mention. Applying methods like Scrum, usually associated with software, to things like designing sustainable buildings iteratively.
That flexible approach.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds potentially very powerful in construction, even if it seems counterintuitive at first.
It could really speed things up and make projects more responsive. Then there's digital learning, proactively seeking out knowledge about new tech, like BIM or robotics, and digital ethics.
Ethics. How does that apply?
Well, thinking critically about using surveillance tech on sites, for example, or ensuring AI used for HR decisions is fair and compliant with data regulations. Really important stuff.
Definitely. Okay, finally, the classic skills in Table 5. The article stresses these aren't going away.
Not at all. In fact, it argues they become even more important when combined with these digital skills.
How so? Give me an example.
Okay, problem solving. Still absolutely essential for dealing with unexpected issues on site, right? But now maybe you use digital tools to diagnose the problem faster or model solutions.
I see. The core skill is enhanced.
Exactly. Creativity, maybe it's applied to developing new prefabrication methods or innovative, sustainable building concepts, potentially using digital design tools. Entrepreneurial thinking still needed for proactive coordination, but maybe now using digital platforms to manage subcontractors more efficiently.
So it's layering the new on the essential old.
Precisely. Adaptability, being willing to learn new software or try new sustainable materials. And perseverance, that sheer grit to get complex projects done, dealing with inevitable setbacks. That doesn't go away. The article really drives home that these classics aren't replaced. Their impact is amplified by digital fluency.
Okay, so pulling this all together from our deep dive,
Yeah.
it really feels like understanding and applying these future skills isn't just optional anymore in construction. It seems essential for actually responding to how the industry is changing and for driving innovation.
That's the core message, yes. The article concludes by saying future skills are really a response to these profound shifts in work driven by tech and society. And this whole conversation about them, it's not just academic chat, it's vital for staying competitive in this increasingly digital, networked construction world.
And it really underlines the need for continuous development. It's not a one-time fix. You have to keep learning, keep adapting.
Definitely. And it points out it's a shared responsibility, too, not just on individuals, but on educational institutions and companies within the sector to foster these skills. It's about building a future-proof industry together.
Right. That continuous learning, adapting to new tech and methods, building resilience, those seem to be the recurring themes.
Absolutely.
So maybe the final thought for our listeners to mull over is this. Future skills in construction. They're clearly much more than just a buzzword. They sound like they might actually be the key to the entire industry's future viability.
A strong case is certainly made for that. The article implicitly encourages everyone involved to be part of driving that change, not just reacting to it.
And it's good to know, as you mentioned, the original piece also included links to further reading for anyone wanting to dig even deeper.
That's right. More resources are available there.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until the next one.
This was BauVolution.
Where construction meets innovation. Until next time, keep building the future.